press secretary of the President of Russia Dmitry Peskov reacted to a new press release from the International Olympic Committee regarding the suspension of Russian athletes. The press release concerns those Russians who adhere to the Olympic Charter and do not support a military special operation in Ukraine. I find it impossible to comment before consideration. We need to see what will be accepted. So far, one thing is striking: even in the wording of the initiative there is too much politics, which should be alien to the ideas of the Olympic family. RBC Sport quotes Peskov as saying, "Only those athletes who fully comply with the Olympic Charter will be able to participate in the competition. They did not oppose the IOC peacekeeping mission and did not actively support the military special operation, and also comply with the rules of the World Anti-Doping Code. According to this condition, all athletes must pass an individual check. If an athlete fails to meet the eligibility criteria, the international federations or competition organizers must immediately remove the athlete from the competition and report the incident to the IOC. The IOC discloses its requirements." The mayor of Paris, Anne Hidalgo, expressed the opinion that Russian athletes should participate in the Olympic Games in 2024 under a neutral flag. The Games will be held in the capital of France. I think that this is an important moment for athletes, and that athletes should not be deprived of competition. But, like most of the sports community, I ask that the delegation from Russia not compete under its own, but under a neutral flag, as has happened in the past. I hope that the military special operation in Ukraine will be behind us when we host the Games in Paris, which in any case will be the first important moment of the long-awaited brotherly meeting, because after COVID, after everything that we have just experienced, there is a need to unite together around sports," quotes the words of Hidalgo L'Equipe with reference to France 2 TV channel. Assistant to the President of the Russian Federation and first Vice President of the Russian Olympic Committee Igor Levitin commented on the IOC statement on the possible admission of Russian and Belarusian athletes to competitions in a neutral status. "There is nothing surprising in the statement. We understood that it was going in the same direction as the first statement. But it is very important that our guys are allowed to participate in international competitions and the Olympics. We are waiting for the details that were not there yesterday. Now the work of our national federations with international ones. As soon as the international federations receive recommendations from the IOC, they will inform us and we will start work. But I think it's a success. The Olympic community understands that the Olympic Games cannot take place without Russia," RIA Novosti Sport quoted Levitin as saying. On Wednesday, January 25, the IOC announced that they would consider allowing Russian athletes who do not support a special military operation to compete in a neutral status. Athletes must also comply with the anti-doping rules of the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA. Three-time Olympic champion, State Duma Deputy Irina Rodnina called the statement of the International Olympic Committee, IOC, on the conditions for admitting Russians to international starts a provocation. Earlier, the International Olympic Committee announced that it would consider the question of the performance of the Russians in a neutral status, subject to strict rules by the athletes. I think everyone is talking about the same thing. What I think? Just like everyone else. This is a provocation, and we will not go for it. I understand it hurts. Athletes worry because the life of an athlete is short, but now is not the time when we can make any concessions. Because it will be discord in society and among athletes, Rodnina told Match TV. This is an attempt to split the athletes, to split the society. If we already had a history when we performed without a flag and without an anthem, then we went for it because we understood, we had problems, a sufficient number of medals were taken away due to positive doping tests. Realizing our responsibility and guilt, we took such steps. But now, of course, the vile situation. Athletes are not to blame at all. Plus, the Olympic Charter clearly states that it doesn't matter what passport an athlete has, Gazeta.ru quotes Rodnina. Journalist Elena Vaitskowskaya also commented on the statement of the International Olympic Committee. The proposal voiced by the IOC to return Russian athletes to the international arena, subject to the latter meeting a number of conditions, is strongly reminiscent of the situation our country has already gone through, when athletes were asked to choose between a flag and a rather conditional prospect of going to the Games in Pyeongchang. Quite conditional, because most of the people who really applied for medals were not admitted there anyway. There were new introductory ones, which, by the way, were not even plainly voiced. Now history is repeating itself, but in a much tougher format. At the current stage, people are invited to renounce their state position, and in fact, from their own country, and it is naive to believe that everything will be limited to this. Anything can be put in the status of insufficient repentance at the next stage, belonging to the wrong clubs, training at the wrong bases or with the wrong money, working with the wrong specialists, participating in the wrong events. In a word, you are in front of crawl with us for now, and we will look and think, Vatskaya wrote in the Telegram channel. The head of the Swedish Olympic Committee, Peter Rienibo, commented on the IOC's statement about the possible admission of Russian and Belarusian athletes to the Paris Olympics. It is not surprising that this decision will come in one form or another. In recent months, the question has been raised of how to do this, how qualifications should be held and so on. So we are not surprised, even if we have a different opinion. Rienibo SVT quotes the words. The 2024 Summer Olympics will be held in Paris. The opening ceremony will take place on July 26. The competition will run until August 11. Paris was chosen as the host of the Games on September 13, 2017 at the 131st session of the IOC in Lima, Peru. The president of the Norwegian Sports Federation, Berit Kjell, also commented on the IOC statement. In the current situation, it is unacceptable to allow Russian and Belarusian athletes to participate at the international level. Most speakers at the summit said they did not want an athlete's nationality to determine whether they would be allowed to compete in international tournaments. However, in the case of Russian and Belarusian athletes, we must comply with strict conditions, NRK quotes Kjell. Executive Director of the Finnish Olympic Committee Tiina Susiuoto spoke about the possible admission of Russians and Belarusians to the next Olympics in Paris. The decision of the IOC does not correspond to our position, but I expected something like that. I knew we were in the minority with our views. It is assumed that some steps will be taken to clarify the conditions for the return of Russian and Belarusian athletes to international sports. The IOC continues to condemn Russia's actions and shows solidarity with the Ukrainians. It's good that the sanctions have not been lifted, Eltasanomat quotes Susiuoto.